Well, thank you very much. May we all take our seats. Allow me to invite Councillor Matafi to give us an opening prayer. Councillor Matafi, can you come forward to give us an opening prayer?
Mazvita tinamati Baba wedu muzita raJesu, tinokunamatai Baba mangwanana naye, tichikutendai nechipo cheupenyu, tinokutendai Mwari wamasimba ose nekurara makatichengetedza neruzhowa rwenyu rwemweya mutsvene. Taapano Mwari wamasimba ose pamitingi yamanga makaronga isi tisati taiziva. Makataura mushoko renyu makati ndakakuzivai muchiri mudumbu ramai wenyu. Nazvino tinotenda kuti zvese zviri kuitika makazviziva Mwari wamasimba ose isi tisati tazvironga. Zvino taapano kuti tiumbe guta redu reHarare Ishe wamasimba ose, tisiri pakuita gakava asi humwe chete. Tinonamata mutsvene wamasimba ose kuti patichapuwa zvese zviri kuitika hwaro guta redu, ivai muri pakati pedu, nekuti tikavaka guta pasina imi tinovakira pasina. Takunamatai Mwari wamasimba ose, takukudzai tiri muzita nemuropa ramambo wedu Jesu Kristu. Amen.
Thank you very much, Councillor Matafi, for the opening prayer. We are all happy to be here because today is a special day for the city of Harare. His Worship the Mayor, Councillor Jacob Mafume, will be presenting the end of the first quarter report, and we have various stakeholders, Your Worship, who have joined us. I thought it was important that I introduce you to most of them who are here. We have Zudak. We also have from ZTA representatives, Bank ABC, ZB Bank, AFC, Nanotech, Zenara, MCOS, Automagic, LA Guard, HIST. We also have our worker representatives here present, Trust, Residents Associations, Chillmant, Team Consulting, Harare Residents Trust, and many others who are here, CLGF, and I've seen most of the stakeholders we invited are here. We also have Your Worship representatives from our residents, from Greendale, Sunningdale, CBD, Mount Pleasant, Emerald Hill, Borodale, Mavuku, Waterfalls, Kuwadzana, and also Mfakos, Your Worship. So we are overwhelmed, and we are happy that all the guests and dignitaries that we invited are here. You are very welcome to Town House. I think some of you are here for the first time. This is your home. You should visit us more frequently. Allow me also at this juncture to introduce the councillors who are here. I'll start with the chairman of the Finance and Development Committee. Councillor, can you come forward so that the residents and the stakeholders can see you? He is the man who is in charge of the PES. Yes. Councillor Costa Mande is the chairperson of the Finance and Development Committee. Can we appreciate him, please? Thank you very much. We have Councillor Matuone. He's also our councillor. Maybe you could come forward so that our stakeholders can also see you. Councillor Matafi, ndakuona idzokai zvakare. We also have Councillor Mpamaonde. Councillor Mpamaonde. The others are here for the last time. Mwakwenda ku House of Assembly. So Trangoti Mumazive, and I also appreciate them. They said they've had enough of Town House. They want to go to the House of Assembly. Especially the one who is looking at me with a smile. Can we clap hands? Can we clap hands for him? Yes, I'm not sure if there are other councillors who have joined us, but to introduce them as they come in, you can take your seats. Thank you very much, Honourable Councillors. And next, very soon, we'll be calling them Honourable Member of the House of Assembly for some who are here. Thank you very much. We also have Councillor Gotora. He's coming forward. Councillor Gotora is the chairman of the Information and Publicity Committee, which is responsible for informing the residents about issues within council. And we are here because his committee said the mayor must be open and transparent and also speak to the residents of Harare, whether they are good things or bad things. We need to ensure that the residents know what is happening in Harare. Thank you very much, Chairman, for gracing this occasion. We also have heads of department from the city of Harare. Can you show by standing up so that our stakeholders can see you? Yes, starting with Mr. Matengaro, who is the acting Human Capital Director, who is responsible for hiring and firing and also paying us well. Thank you very much, or paying us little. He is the man who is in charge of that. We have Mr. Stole, responsible for housing and community services. Thank you very much, responsible for ensuring that the residents of Harare have access to decent housing. Thank you very much, Mr. Stole. We have Dr. Vere, who is responsible for fighting the cholera outbreak. We all know that we are during a cholera outbreak, so we need to ensure that we pay attention to personal hygiene. We also have the man who is also responsible for the pests. Remember, I spoke about Councillor Mande is supposed to be our mtuli for the city of Harare. So the permanent secretary that we have here is Mr. Nukarume. Mr. B. Nukarume is our acting finance director. Thank you very much for coming. I'm also happy to introduce the acting town clerk for Chitungiza municipality. Thank you very much, ma'am, for coming. We have very special people around. I'll give you an opportunity to network later on, so I'll not introduce all of them. So at this juncture, allow me to call upon our acting town clerk, Engineer Kariza, to give us the welcome remarks.
Very good morning to you all. Thank you, Director of Ceremonies. The Director of Ceremony, His Worship, the Mayor of the City of Harare, Councillor Jacob Mafume, mayors and chairpersons from the surrounding local authorities, town clerks from our sister local authorities, the captains of industry and commerce who are here present, representatives from the banks and other financial institutions, representatives from the insurance sector, residents association representatives who are here present, the representatives of the corporates who are operating in the city of Harare, esteemed stakeholders, development partners who are here present, the chairpersons of council committees, councillors, City of Harare heads of departments and other senior officials, residents of Zimbabwe, members of the media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. I warmly welcome you all to this important event of the City of Harare calendar, which is a platform for council to share with you the developments that are taking place in the City of Harare. Allow me to extend a special welcome to our esteemed guests. Your presence makes this event a wonderful occasion. I do welcome you. Today it is an important day because it will afford all of us the opportunity to network and share ideas on how best we can improve the city. You will agree with me that the city has got many challenges, and most of our stakeholders do attest to this. Council is very conscious of the challenges that are facing our citizens, industry and commerce, and the small to medium enterprises that are operating in Harare. Great effort will be put towards improving the service delivery, particularly in the water, sanitation, and hygiene sectors, also known as WASH, which remain a priority for the city of Harare because they do directly affect the lives of the citizens of Harare. We are also working to ensure that we address the causes of cholera outbreak which we are currently battling with. His Worship, the Mayor, will address the most pressing issues that we are facing within the city of Harare. Your Worship, our stakeholders are patiently waiting for you to address critical issues, including the performance of the city in service delivery, financial management, and propose the solutions to some of the challenges that we are facing. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, allow me to call upon His Worship, the Mayor of the City of Harare, Councillor Jacob Mafume. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting TC, for the introductions, and Dorothy for being the MC, and more importantly, thank you all for coming. I know we haven't given an update since the beginning of the year, we thought that we probably would give a quarter update since the beginning of the year was a bit slow, and we would not have had a lot to conversate around. But we felt that it was important that we talk as the first quarter has begun, so that we can be evaluated and we can also take stock on whether we are going in the right direction. So as a way of salutations, the mayors and chairpersons from surrounding local authorities, town clerks from our sister council, local authorities, captains of industry and commerce, representatives from banks and other financial institutions, representatives from the insurance sector in Harare, residents association representatives, representatives of corporates operating in Harare, esteemed stakeholders, development partners here present, chairpersons of council committees, councillors here present, City of Harare acting town clerk, City of Harare heads of department and other senior officials, residents of Harare, members of the media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored and humbled to have this opportunity to present the first quarter report and also address other critical issues affecting your city. When I assumed the esteemed office of the mayor of the capital city of Harare, council made a collective decision to do things differently. That is to communicate with the residents and stakeholders of the city. We made a decision to put the residents and stakeholders at the center of our agenda. We also made a decision to communicate the bad things happening in your city, the good developments in your city, the achievements made by administrations, the challenges and plans. That is why if we fail, we do not hide our shortcomings. If we succeed, we also blow our own trumpet. We do this because we believe that we have kept this city running in the midst of a plethora of challenges. At a personal level, I'm very passionate about access. The institution we are running is an entity of record, and the public and citizens must be able to interact with us as a system. This decision was purely made for the sake of developing a transparent city which is open at all times. That is why I'm happy to deliver the first quarter report, which outlines all the key service delivery issues, financial health, human resources issues, before I report on the performance of the city. It is also important that we note, and I will begin with the cholera outbreak. Ladies and gentlemen, the country is experiencing a cholera outbreak in different towns like Beitbridge, Shegutu, and Mutare, and in all provinces, except for one. We have a cholera outbreak which began on the 24th of April 2023. I found it prudent to include the cholera issue in the report because it is a major challenge in your city. One case is considered an outbreak because of the high transmissibility of cholera. There are two main epicenters of cholera outbreak in Harare, namely Budiriro 1 and Glenview 3. The cholera outbreak is suspected to have been fueled by the use of water from unprotected wells in these two suburbs, and the sources have since been decommissioned. There are now 39 confirmed cholera cases in Harare city as at 15 May 2023. 9 of these were reported from Budiriro 1, while 1 is from Zoarasekwa, 22 from Glenview 3, 2 from Mount Pleasant Heights, 1 from Mbare Glenview 3 suburb, which is Glenview 3, which is now a bigger epicenter compared to Budiriro 1. The 2 cases from Mount Pleasant Heights were people who had visited their relatives somewhere else. The index case in Glenview 3 is a 26 male who had date of onset of symptoms on 27 April 2023. The cholera hotspots are Budiriro, Glenview, and Mbare. It is important to note that cholera is caused by pure water sanitation and hygiene conditions. Therefore, in order to control the outbreak, the city has implemented short-term strategies to improve the water supply in these areas. And this seems to be bearing fruits as the Budiriro epicenter now shows much less transmission. Some of the short-term measures include cutting water to the affected areas, using water bowsers, repair of broken down boreholes, installation of additional storage tanks on high-yield boreholes, there's been significant improvement of municipal water supplies in the affected areas as these areas have been prioritized. We are also strengthening health education in Western District and other affected areas. Health promoters have been trained to be able to identify cases and also teach the community on case definition of cholera so that all these signs and symptoms, watery diarrhea, are referred to the nearest health institutions. Health promoters are also moving door to door in the affected areas. We have a program to deal with all the wastewater issues and waste collection in the affected areas. We've been working with our partners in the cholera. MSF have been supporting the response in all the thematic pillars. They have assisted, amongst other things, in setting of cholera treatment centers, installation of additional storage tanks at high-yield boreholes, as well as raising awareness in the community. I would like to express our sincere gratitude to all the partners who have come on board. We have also extended free health treatment to anyone with diarrheal symptoms, so they won't have to pay anything at our clinics, and we have increased the distribution of aquatabs and other related paraphernalia. We go back to the signing of performance contracts. As you are aware, the government introduced a performance management system, which entails the signing of performance contracts by cabinet ministers, permanent secretaries, and mayors, and chief executives for para-state house, town clerks, and chief executives of local authorities, vice chancellors for state universities, and other senior government officials. I signed my performance contract on the 16th of March, 2023 at the State House. I am a ceremonial mayor, but I signed the contract. It does not have the adequate remuneration for someone who signs a performance contract. However, we are to serve the citizens. I'm expected to be assessed by the 2023 financial year. The fact that we signed performance contracts means there is a need to relook at the concept of ceremonial mayors. In my end of year address in December last year, I made reference to the fact that there is need for the relevant authorities to revert back to the system of executive mayors. The mayor of Harare is the second most powerful measurable public service deployment in Zimbabwe, and calls for the restoration of the post of executive mayor continue to grow louder. We hope that the relevant authorities will take heed and do the needful as we restore sanity in our cities and towns. I think it's the only city of this magnitude, covering a population of almost 2 million, and a greater Harare, which has another 1 million, which is being run by a ceremonial mayor the world over. A city that fights corruption. Corruption is endemic in the public sector. And when I assumed office, I adopted a zero tolerance against this vice, which benefits a few individuals whilst the majority suffer. We characterize ourselves as a city at work because we understand the huge task that is before us. The task of meaningfully transforming the lives of the residents of Harare, who bear the brunt of inadequate service delivery. One of the huge tasks that I have is to fight corruption, and I've made sure that the culprits are exposed. We have heard the referral marketing scandal, where one official was pocketing money at the expense of the whole city and the residents of Harare. Referral marketing was one of the biggest beer retail companies in Zimbabwe, let alone Harare, and I dare say in the southern region. However, it has been reduced to a shell of its existence. It presides over 136 beer outlets. It contains, it maintains a brewery that is leased by Delta, which was used to be one of the biggest breweries for peg beer. It has properties all over the city, and it should be managed as such. We will be updating you on the progress made in transforming the institution so that it benefits the residents of Harare, particularly in the funding of the social services program. This Rufaro marketing is the one that used to fund our clinics, that used to fund our stadia, that is Rufaro Stadia, and I'm happy to announce that it will be involved in providing the popular bucket seats for Rufaro Stadium with the revenues that we have captured from these individuals who had taken over the institution. I want the narrative to change from a city that breeds corruption to a city that fights corruption. This will enable us to restore the confidence of the ratepayers and also attract the much needed investment. As you know, we have been fighting with a lot of business people, or I dare say sharks, who want to strip the city, right from our own dump sites to our stadia to various pockets of real estate that we have as a city, and also including residential stands. We are going to put a stop to that, and we will resist anybody who has a parasitic relationship to the city without fear or favor. Financial health of the city. The performance of our city is largely attributed to our financial health. We have a serious problem of a lack of a fully functional ERP, which affects revenue collection and financial management. We still do not have a fully integrated ERP, and the executive is tasked to bring the matter to finality. The issue of the ERP has already cost one executive in the IT department his job. He's on suspension because of the lack of providing an ERP for billing of our residents. Our billing, its inaccuracies, is a cause of concern to the residents. We have one of the largest IT departments in the country, but it can't get itself to create an ERP, an enterprise resource package. We left a functional ERP and went into the wilderness, searching a pot of gold in the rainbow. Ultimately, there was a tender process where we were going to be charged a whooping $57 million by one viciously corrupt company called Monosoft from South Africa, which wanted to take $57 million from the residents of Harare for simply providing us an enterprise resource package. We are not going to do that, and thankfully PRAS, through its various committee, has agreed with us to the cancellation of that tender, and we are going to find a reasonable ERP within the country which we used to use. Ladies and gentlemen, service delivery is a byproduct of financial performance. We continue to urge our ratepayers to honor their obligations so that we're able to fund service delivery. The total inflow for the period 1 January to 31 March 2023 amounted to 38.4 billion. For the month of March 2023, the city collected 16.7 billion. Included in these inflows is a Zinara grant amounting to 901 million, devolution funds amounting to 122 million, city parking remittance of ZW 157 million. The Zinara problem still persists. We believe that there are 800,000 motorists in Harare. They are paying an average of $80 per month, which is amounting to $62 million or $64 million. We are simply getting 1.5 million per year from Zinara. I was promised by the Zinara chairperson, and I was promised by the minister that we will have a meeting to review the remittances that are coming to Harare, since Harare motorists pay the bulk of the fees that Zinara collects. I'm sad to announce that to date, that meeting has not happened. They held one meeting with permanent secretaries, town clerks, and other financial directors. I was unceremoniously ejected from that meeting when I attempted to also partake in the discussions for one reason or the other. I gracefully left, but still the problem of roads is persisting, and we are not getting the money that the residents are paying to Zinara. Devolution funds, 122 million US Zimbabwe dollars. We are still not getting money from the Ministry of Local Government. Harare residents pay the bulk of the taxes, and by the percentage which is supposed to come to Harare through devolution, we should be getting a very huge percentage. Our money goes to the Ministry of Local Government and disappears in the bowels of the ministry, God knows to where. We hope that this issue will be resolved. The parking remittances is 157 million. Traditional beer levy is amounting to 106 million, and we received a donation amounting to 34 million. From the consolidated bill, current obligations and legacy debt, the city collected 11.11 billion, and the balance of 5.64 billion was collected from non-billed services and external sources for the month of March 2023. Collection efficiency for the month of March improved to 55% of the potential from a collection efficiency of 45% in the previous months. Ladies and gentlemen, debtors stood at 123 billion as at 31 March 2023 from the 1 January 2023 position of 96 billion. Debtors grew by 28.52% from the beginning of the year's position of 16.17%. The debt configurations are as follows: commerce and industry 52.65%, domestic 40%, government 3.65%, sundry debtors 0.76%, and dormitory towns 2.87% from the previous month's position. A note to the business, parastatals and government entities operating in the city of Harare. The practice of sustained non-current debt and being paid up is negatively impacting the city's finance. If this category of debtors do not honor their obligations, we will institute tighter control through service disconnection for any debt over 60 days. Esteemed guests, creditors stood at 22.7 billion as at 31 March 2023. I should say something on the debt. We are still the only one of the few services that is operating on a post-paid basis. We give you the service and you pay after. All other services, from cell phones, from going onto the road, have since migrated to a prepaid service. And as a city, we are suffering accordingly because our money is being hit by inflation and also being hit by delays. It has become a practice by all and sundry to delay paying so that they benefit from the high inflation that is currently prevailing. Creditors. The major driver to the creditors' positions are as follows: electricity charges of 35.7%, water chemicals of 12.29%, statutory obligation 23.68%, and trade creditors 28.16%. Furthermore, council has an outstanding obligation of 0.12 million from FBC Bank, PISP loans, ZW 100 million, and an obligation to service the 70.5 million US facility from China Exim Bank for Morton Jeffrey Waterworks refurbishment. Electricity charges remain high as electricity tariffs keep increasing at the backdrop of loss in value of the ZW dollar. Accrued expenditure for electricity as of March 2023 amounts to Zimbabwe 8 billion, as the city is accruing close to 1.9 billion US on a monthly basis. On this monthly accrual is 450 million from hostels, an unsustainable cost which the city needs to shed off and have the residents install prepaid electricity. We are funding, as you know, we had a plethora of hostels, and we provide the electricity to these hostels free of charge. From the breakdown above, electricity is our major cost driver, and we are engaging ZESA for concessionary tariffs because our activities are merely public service. We do not operate on a profit-making basis. Our water treatment plant and water treatment plants consume most of our power. We are also pursuing the introduction of green energy, and such we are seeking partners to work with in the development of solar farms, and we are hope to use the solar energy to power the water and sewer treatment plants. We will be engaging the highest offices from ZESA on the following key issues. Non-payment of royalties by ZESA. Our records indicate that ZESA owes the city of Harare a total of over ZW 900 million in royalties. The royalties accrue from the sale of electricity within Harare, and the money has not been paid since 2009. The interest accruing per annum that is being charged as an outstanding debt, the 200% interest, is very steep. Our average monthly bill is 1.9 billion and interest is 1.2 billion. In view of the fact that the city of Harare uses most of the power to produce water for wastewater treatment and for public lighting purposes, is justification enough for downward review of the interest in those areas. Tariff increases. We appreciate the need for tariff increases. We seek exemption from surges in tariff, especially for water production, wastewater treatment plants, public lighting, and as a public service provider, we believe that we must be charged concessionary tariffs. Rural electrification levy. We seek exemption from payment of the rural electrification levy on all our accounts, because City of Harare customers are mainly the residents who are already charged the levy on their domestic and commercial accounts. The ZESA issue is a crime. We had our power station, which was producing 120 megawatts per day, taken by ZESA. It is now producing 0 megawatts, sometimes 12 megawatts. This power station was taken without compensation to the residents. We have over 200 buildings, the building across Jameson, the building in Wayne Street, that were taken over by ZESA without compensation, and they do not pay rentals. Many other buildings that are littered around town. The very day that they took the power station is the very day they started charging the residents money for producing electricity, which is not proper, and we are going to consider measures that we need to take to remedy this situation. I now understand they want to farm out these power stations to private actors because they are saying they are too small to operate. We suggest that they bring them back in the state that they are, so that we look for the investors ourselves in conjunction with us doing solar farms. Our issue is that you cannot take something without compensation and proceed to charge people about that. Electricity to our water used to be a book entry. When ZESA took over, it ceased to be a book entry and became an actual charge. And that makes it unsustainable to keep operating our water plant with the charges that ZESA is making us pay for our own power stations. We will seriously look into that. In the capital spending, in the 2023 fiscal year, City of Harare allocated 41 billion for capital expenditure. Nearly half of that amount was earmarked for the water, sanitation, and hygiene program. As at 31 March 2023, a total of 2.6 billion had been expended. Recapitalization of service delivery operations remains our priority in 2023. Last year, I made an undertaking that will procure service delivery vehicles and the following pieces of plant and equipment, and the update is as given. We have resorted to buying without devolution funds because the ministry has neglected, refused, or failed to pay us adequate devolution funds. We have therefore bought the following equipment. 1, 3 times 30-ton hook loader and 15 hook loader bins for waste collection at high traffic areas. These will be delivered in the second quarter of the year. 15 refuse compactors. Procurement process has commenced, and we expect delivery of some of the compactors during the second and third quarter of the year. 5 excavators, 3 were paid for and delivered in the first quarter of the year. 5 tipper trucks, these will be delivered during this quarter. 9 backhoe loaders, 3 have been paid for and have been delivered. 2 graders One has been partly paid for, and we expect delivery during this quarter. 5 drop-size trailers, 3 were paid for and delivered in the period under review. 2 hydraulic platforms, 1 will be paid for and delivered during the second quarter of the year. We will update on major procurements of the plant and equipment required for service delivery operations. This is our promise to manage the capital city of Harare proficiently and well, such that we build a sustainable city where residents do not complain about basic service delivery. Recapitalization has presented itself as a remedy to solving the service delivery challenges. Water. On our average supply coverage was 64%, a slight drop from the 22 average of 66%. This was because of a slight drop in water production due to intermittent power outages. The aluminium sulfate availability challenge has been addressed and we are having delivery as agreed. There was a bit of stability in the water sector during the first quarter of the year compared to the same period last year, though we would want all residents to have access to potable water. Below is a summary of the interventions in the water and wastewater sector in the first quarter of the year. The project for the implementation of the chlorine dioxide technology commenced and is now ready for commissioning. We are making arrangements for the delivery of all the required chemicals so that we can commission the project, which, if successful, can save the city at least $300,000 US per month in water treatment chemicals. We managed to negotiate with our water treatment chemical suppliers to observe their commitment to constantly supply us with water treatment chemicals under arrangement. This resulted in no chemical shortage during induced shutdown during the first quarter. The ultimate result of this was the increase in water production from an average of 269 megaliters per day in January to 353 megaliters per day in March 2023. We, however, have had scheduled maintenance shutdown. In an effort to reduce environmental pollution and improve wastewater conveyance, we replaced about 2 kilometers of sewer pipes in the first quarter of the year. We completed the rehabilitation of the failed sewage works. This restored our wastewater treatment capacity by 18 megaliters. This unit is now operating treating wastewater in the blue band category of the EMA effluent standards. Waste management. Waste management remains a major challenge in your city. This is largely due to low fleet availability and the culture of inherent littering that is in the culture of some of the residents of Harare. In the first quarter of 2023, fleet availability remained depressed with an average of 18 trucks per day, which is not ideal considering that we require 36 refuse connections per day. The situation is very gloomy, but we hope to improve, hence the decision to buy 15 refuse compactors in the 2023 fiscal year. Door-to-door refuse collection coverage stood at 42%, which was a decrease of 10% as of 31st December 2022. The decrease was as a result of the decrease in fleet availability. We also launched Operation Chenesa Harare, an initiative which was meant to mobilize communities, corporates to participate in cleaning the city. However, the initiative did not yield the anticipated results, and the city is now planning to implement community-based refuse collection as a broader strategy and to also deepen the Chenesa Harare strategy. We will deal with the challenge of illegal dump sites and also improve on collection efficiency in line with the integrated solid waste management plan. We are constructing wastewater transfer stations, and the main one at Kelvin Depot will be completed in the second quarter of the year, and construction of the one in Glenora will be done again in the second quarter. The problem of waste management is perennial, but in all these circumstances, we choose hope and we have a firm belief in the fact that this challenge can be resolved. Recapitalization of the amenities division is key, and various species of plant and equipment are being procured this year. We will believe that Harare must work, hence the mantra, back to basics for sustainable service delivery. We are in negotiations with one financial institution to procure a number pieces of equipment to deal with waste management, and we'll announce the results of that negotiations once they are completed. But we do hope that they will be completed soon, and we'll have adequate equipment to deal with the waste challenge. Restoring order in the city. Council's traffic enforcement apparatus and approaches are meant to make Harare trafficable by improving compliance level. After noting the chaos and disorder in the city, largely attributed to traffic bylaws violations, Council passed the resolutions on the 7th of February 2023 that compelled the traffic enforcement section of the Chamber Secretary's Department to enter into a partnership with City Parking Private Limited. City Parking Private Limited is a 100% owned company by the city. So there are no other actors in it, and it is a company where the city is the 100% shareholder. For clamping and towing vehicles for traffic offenses within parking bays and heavy vehicles plying the routes in the central business district, residential areas and other undesignated areas across the city. The idea was to bring sanity, restore order in the city, and this was a successful venture as motorists are now complying with the traffic bylaws. A 50-50 revenue sharing was agreed upon, and a 3-month trial run is being conducted by City of Harare and City Parking Private Limited. Despite resistance to implement the resolution of City Parking managed to penetrate the market, and during that period, a total of 156,089,000 was remitted to the city Harare for traffic enforcement revenue share. These revenues will be returned back to improving the conditions of the parking lots, traffic lights, and other service delivery issues. There was, however, a huge outcry on the level of penalties imposed on the offenders. And as a listening council, we made a decision to reduce these. But we maintain that it is important to have a deterrent fine so that traffic enforcement and the city remains trafficable. However, we will keep monitoring the issue. We know that times are hard for everyone and times are hard for our residents, and we'll make sure that the fines are not disproportionate to the offense that they seek to address. Roads program. Insufficient budget allocation to fund road maintenance activities remains a major challenge in the roads program. During the first quarter of the year, we had a meeting with the Zinara board chairman and his team. I expressed our displeasure over the formula for the disbursement of the Zinara grant and the delays in the actual payment of the funds. We agreed that Zinara would convene a meeting with all road authorities to discuss these crucial issues. We are still waiting for the platform so that this problem can be addressed for the benefit of the citizens. We asked for a meeting, and that's all we asked with Zinara. They are using a formula which was designed in 2001, and that formula was based on an assumption that there are good roads in Harare, therefore money needed to go to rural districts. But the motorists of Harare, when they pay their vehicle licenses, they have an expectation that that money will be used for Harare roads. And we have asked for a meeting with all road authorities so that we can work out a formula. That is not only the money that is not coming, money from fuel levy, which is almost of a similar amount. We are receiving 0 cents since 2015. Money from carbon tax, we are receiving 0 cents since 2015. And this is money which we would have used to repair our plants, to buy equipment. At the present moment, they are giving money to CMED, which is supposed to distribute cars. It's now purporting to be making roads. These are monies from Harare residents. And what we called for was that we just have a meeting so that we could discuss on these issues. We are said to announce that that meeting has not yet been called for. In the first quarter, we managed to maintain 133 kilometers of our road network, and no progress was reported in the construction of new roads or reconstruction. Our roads continue to be in a bad state. And ladies and gentlemen, During the quarter under review, an average of 65% of installed traffic signals were functional. There's a lot of vandalism of road furniture as well as road accident damages. However, we still call upon Zinara to call for that meeting so that we can urgently attend to the state of the roads. They are now in a matter of emergency. Planning, the following are the key highlights. 19 private subdivision permits were granted, 31 cluster development permits were issued, 53 straightforward permits were issued. A review of enterprise corridor local development plan number 60 was approved by council in January, but work has not yet commenced. There's been no progress on the Harare master plan, and procurement bottlenecks in these areas are being addressed. Health. During the quarter under review, we had a groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of Maubra Maternity Clinic, ECD Center, and Fire Station. In most low-density areas in our Harare, our clinics only offer antenatal and postnatal services and no deliveries. The women have been struggling. As Harare, we record an average of 1,500 deliveries per month in our poly clinics, but Mbare records the highest average, 500 deliveries per month. To address that issue of Mbare, we are going to expand Edith Doperman Clinic to include Carter House. Carter House is going to be made into a maternity clinic that will cater for the number of births that will occur there, and Pageant House, which is by the side, will be converted into residential for doctors and nurses that we will use for that clinic. And that will increase the capacity and will help in the rehabilitation of Mbare. Currently, these houses have been invaded and are being used by all sorts for nefarious activities. It is high time that we put those buildings to good use. Housing. We've managed to allocate only 56 stands since January. This is said as our housing waiting list is currently standing at 11,282 active members as at 31 December 2022. The city is finalizing the human settlement policy, which is coming in as a review to the current housing policy. We'll then unveil the new housing models that the city will implement going forward, particularly as we seek to address the outstanding issues in the pay schemes that are operational in Harare. Going forward, the city will not allocate unserviced land because this has created a lot of problems and has promoted the mushrooming of illegal settlements. We will, during this quarter, capacitate our Department of Works with the requisite plant and equipment for us to be able to service land. This capacitation will be done using the funds from our estates account as governed by the applicable law. We have given land to consortiums, cooperatives that were being driven by the Ministry of Cooperatives and so forth. And those lands still remain in the state that they were when we gave them. And we have a problem of providing services to those lands. I think it's time that we draw a line to that kind of development and we make sure that we give serviced land to the residents and cooperate with corporates. For example, the houses that were built by FBC and KEBS in Budiriro, FBC at the Kwadzana roundabout. That is the kind of cooperation we would want to have, and we'll then build a city that people can recognize and the city that looks like other cities in the movies. Education sector. The two council schools were opened during the quarter under review, namely Galdina, Budiriro 7 council primary schools, bringing the total number of council primary schools to 35. Our greatest challenge under schools administration is over-enrollment, with most schools enrolled over 1,500 learners. The city is currently considering constructing 2 more schools through public-private partnerships to increase access to education. We are also going to look seriously into developing high schools so that we have the full range of schools in our portfolio, from primary schools then to our schools. We do not see anything in the law which prevents us from having high schools. We have vocational training centers. There's a marked increase in enrollment following the reduction of fees. Enrollment stands at 70 students as compared to 25 students during the same period last year. The section is working towards the introduction of short demand-driven courses. Vocational training centers are facing several challenges, including dilapidation of infrastructure, shortage of machinery, equipment, as well as unavailability of training material. This is an area for collaboration with some of the corporates and organizations represented here. Production unit. The production unit has the capacity to produce all protective clothing for the city of Harare. The focus is to ensure that the unit is fully supported so that we reduce the costs of uniform. Social services, Rufaro Stadium. The refurbishment of Rufaro Stadium commenced at the beginning of the year with the project team working on extension of changing rooms, maintenance of the pitch, installation of irrigation system, general maintenance, plumbing, pavement, and electrical repairs, surfacing, construction of perimeter wall, car park surfacing, among other works. The project was targeted and can only be completed by end of May 2023. The work done at Rufaro so far and the progress made through the partnership with City Parking Private Limited demonstrate that as a city, we can do more to rehabilitate our social amenities if we get our priorities right. We are going to replicate the same method as we try to renovate most of the social amenities in Harare. We are duty-bound to provide social amenities, and we will do that. We are also going to introduce a sports economy in Harare. Sports is no longer a social amenity per se. Sports is a serious economic activity. The revenue that will be generated from Rufaro Stadium is going to be huge. There will be shops around it. It will be a multiplex. There will be a hotel. There will be a shopping center. There will be a drive-through, and it will be a mini shopping mall, as it were. And it is going to generate serious revenue through the sporting activities and other related activities. And we do believe that if we manage sport as an economic activity in Harare and target many other sports and harness their fundraising or their financial capacities, will go a long way. Cricket is going up. Soccer, we are bringing it back. We also hope that the Minister of Sports and the Kirsty Coventry and her sidekick, Mulochwa, will see sense and stop arguing with FIFA and stop being revolutionary on simple things like sports. There is no sports chimurenga going on. What they need to do is to simply meet the requirements of FIFA so that we are able to see sport and our young people can stop doing drugs and participate in the sports economy like everyone else. Today and yesterday, we were watching the Champions League, and those were made up of young men and women from Africa participating there. We would want to see Zimbabwean footballers there, and we cannot see them if they continue to argue with FIFA and they want to be revolutionaries after the war. Youth development. We are constantly engaging young people to participate in various social economic activities. During the quarter under review, 50 youth groups were mobilized, registered for skills training and sustainable livelihoods. We are doing this as part of the broader strategy to fight against the pandemic of drugs, substance abuse, which is now rife in our country. Women development. The city mobilized, registered 60 women groups who participated in skills training, sustainable livelihoods programs at various community centers. The greatest challenge affecting women development programs in the city is unavailability of resources for empowerment initiatives. We urge cooperatives representatives here to partner the city in these noble initiatives. And we'll also ask the ministry that is in charge and the various banks that have been set up to deal with these issues to also cooperate with the city in this regard. Swimming pool. 3 swimming pools, Les Brown, Greendale, Mount Pleasant, were operational during the period under review. I've challenged the executive to put in place measures and ensure that all our swimming pools are open and accessible to residents. Our idle youth must access so that they are occupied and do not resort to drugs, substance abuse, which is very endemic in our communities. As you know, like soccer, the city of Harare is the backdrop of the swimming economy. Most of the swimming pools that are operational in the country are the swimming pools being run by the city. They have since abandoned making the Chitungwiza Aquatic Complex a swimming pool. It is now used more for Macheso's shows than any swimming pool. Therefore, the only places where one can swim are swimming pools that are being run by the city, and ironically, the Minister of Sports was a swimmer herself, and we have not received any assistance nor funding to keep the swimming pools open. We believe that there's a lot of potential in swimming and that it is an economy that we need to exploit. Small to medium enterprise development. The city reviewed the informal sector policy and now has an operational small to medium enterprise development policy. The city is also going to further develop an SME strategy, which is going to be raised together with the infrastructure development plan. This is an area where we are calling upon corporates to partner the city in developing decent infrastructure for the small, medium enterprise. We are also going to create an SME fund where the money is being paid by informal traders is going to create a revolving fund where they can borrow and utilize the funds so that we move away from the colonial model of a city that simply takes and does not give back. We believe that if we create a revolving fund and provide other services like medical aid within that revolving fund, will promote our informal sector to migrate to a formal sector. Stakeholders engagement. We held 48 monthly interdepartmental service delivery meetings and 19 quarterly ward-based feedback meetings, ensuring increased participation and engagement in service delivery. 46 cleanup campaigns were held. Most areas could not manage because of continuous rains during the days of cleanup during the first period of the quarter. We have encouraged our councillors and everybody to also participate in the national cleanup programs. Cleaning up and a clean city is not a political issue. Everyone wants a clean city. So we will cooperate with the cleanups as they are spearheaded by national government and any organization that spearheads a national cleanup. We urge all our citizens and all our residents to participate in these cleanups. We need to inculcate a culture where we return the city to a spotless existence. Emergency services. The Emergency Services Division is one of the responsive and functional sections within the city of Harare. This section has recorded successes, though in terms of the tools of trade, they remain heavily undercapitalized. The status remains as reported in the end of year message I presented last year in December. We continue to mourn the state of our emergency services equipment, which has deteriorated over the years. We are currently operating with 6 tenders out of an ideal total of 25, and 6 ambulances out of an ideal of 32 ambulances. We also going to make efforts to recapitalize this critical section in our city. In the 23 financial year, we are going to procure 10 ambulances. The procurement of fire tenders is covered under the Capital Development Plan. We have had a partnership with one of the I forget their name, but we've had a very useful partnership with them. They have assured that we get these fire tenders. We now have 14 fire tenders from that partnership, and useful training and other smaller equipment. And we are appreciative of that cooperation. Decentralization. To improve organizational performance and accountability, several strategies have been adopted by the city since 2012. One of the strategies is decentralization. To address the operational inefficiency, the city is fine-tuning a new decentralization policy. It's also in line with the devolution in our constitution. Our earlier efforts had been constrained by the lack of policy clarity, limited financial support, departmental power asymmetries, and limited buy-in from stakeholders, some of whom have deliberately undermined decentralization implementation. Learning from these experiences, the city combined development of a decentralization policy and restructuring itself in a way that sufficiently addresses the current challenges. a new decentralization approach has been adopted. It comprises of the principles of deconcentration, delegation, and devolution. These principles are in line with the Constitution of Zimbabwe. The policy will help the city enhance capitalization, stakeholders' engagement, service delivery capacity, build sustainable city systems, and address previous decentralization implementation issues. Effective implementation of decentralization and related policies will enhance the city's capacity to deliver services and contribute to national efforts towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and bringing services closer to communities. The year started on a good note with most of the 4 companies, Harare City Parking, Sunshine Hall Development, and Rufaro Marketing, submitting and presenting the 23 annual plans. We have developed a commercialization strategy which provides a clear pathway for investment into the city. The following is worth noting from our strategy business units. City Parking Private Limited. City Parking Private Limited submitted their 2023 annual business plan and it was approved by council. City Parking Private Limited revenue contribution to the city of Harare for the year ending 2022 amounted to $758,369,238 against a budget of $779,591,392, 3% budget. City Parking increased revenue share to the shareholder from 20% to 23% beginning January 2023. From January-March 2023, a total of $495,473,339.57 has been remitted to the city of Harare for the 23 revenue contribution to the shareholder. Further, given an excellent performance of City Parking, they were engaged by the shareholder to renovate Rufaro Stadium in partnership of the city of Harare. To date, the works that are now at 60% complete to finish have been attributed to their contribution. Harare Quarry Private Limited. Harare Quarry did not manage to submit their 2023 annual business plan, and the company performed way below expectation or capacity in the year 2023. Council approved to reshuffle the board, consider City of Harare user department representation on the board to ensure that all decisions or operations are inclined with the needs of the primary customer, City of Harare. The acting director of works and the chief roads engineer were appointed to the board. To tap into the management expertise of performing strategic business units, one executive from City Parking was appointed in the Harare Quarry board. The board was given a new mandate to enhance the performance of the company. The quarry issue is very simple. We need quarry material to do our roads as before. Our interest in the quarry is its ability to give us a product. It is not necessarily it producing financial accounts of astronomical figures when our roads are in shambles. So we are going to look at refocusing it so that it becomes essentially what it used to be, like what water is, a utility that provides road-making material in the main for the city and make sure that the residents do not pay exorbitantly to get that done. Governance issues. On the executive front, we remain with 90% of the senior executive in acting capacities because of the substantive directors are dealing with issues before the courts. This is a major challenge in terms of leadership stability because holding a position in acting capacity brings in a lot of uncertainty. We also have a problem with this. We are the only city in the world that has to ask a ministry to appoint its senior executive from grade 3 up to grade 1. We have to go to what is called a governance board, which is currently manned by one individual called Chakaipa. The so-called Chakaipa has never visited the city. He has never spoken to the mayor. He has never held any meeting with us to ask us about our HR needs. He sits somewhere there as a lecturer in Gweru and decides whom and whom we don't employ. It is the most bizarre arrangement I have come across in any management setup, whereby a person who is not in any way connected to the day-to-day runnings of a big city such as Harare and lives in a very small city to boot, decides who we employ and whom we don't employ. And he has never bothered to turn up here to see whether we are doing well. It is one of the areas that needs urgent review. A big city like Harare should be able to employ and monitor its own employees. Focus areas for the rest of the year. My philosophy of governing may seek to inspire, but is also grounded in the practical. As your mayor, I'm dedicated to providing an efficient and effective form of government in these unsettled financial times. We must do more with less, never fail to deliver services citywide, and constantly try to find ways to use cost-cutting measures and innovation to help us realize our dreams. We must keep the positive momentum growing. So moving forward, we are going to focus on the following key areas. Increase water production so that most communities have access to water. Improve sanitation and hygiene through regular collection of waste. Continue with the recapitalization drive and procure more pieces of plant and equipment. Decentralization of service delivery so that services are brought closer to the home. Avert the further spread of cholera in the city. Strengthen financial management through the completion of outstanding audits and also procuring an ERP issue. This is an urgent, and we have put senior staff on notice that failure to have an ERP system through a lot of explanation is going to be a human resource issue. We cannot run an organization of this magnitude with potential financial black holes existing and also not being able to bring the management to account on a financial system. And that the abortive attempt to make us procure a $57 million contract should serve as a lesson to all in council and those in management that any such attempts to fleece the residents will be met with the appropriate disciplinary action. We'll also be creating good work values and a culture of accountability to results. In conclusion, thank you, it looked long. I believe we can turn around the city if we get our properties right. As we conclude, allow me to appreciate the residents of Harare for their endurance and forbearance during times when service delivery was at its lowest. I do understand that a lot still needs to be done, and we will endeavor to make sure that we put in systems to allow that be done. Commendations also go to the executive, led by our acting town clerks, the directors, managers, and all the employees of the city. Serving citizens is sometimes a job that is not appreciated, but we are grateful for your resilience even during difficult times. We express our profound appreciation to the councillors of the city of Harare for allowing me to lead my principal and the change champion-in-chief, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, who has fully appreciated us by honoring me with the responsibility of serving as the mayor of the capital city of Harare. In delivering this first quarter report, we are reaffirming our promise to building a city that we all clamor for, a city that is open and transparent. It will be amiss for me if I do not address the issue of elections. We are in the election season. We continue to preach peace, which is critical for any development processes to take place. Peace is the path we take for bringing growth and prosperity to our society. I had a meeting with the war veterans that work in council just yesterday. We also emphasized and thanked them for the contribution that they did in bringing the country to place and all of us to be in the positions that we are in. We will announce some measures that we will, as a council, to appreciate their level of sacrifice. We have about 150 of them working in the city, and we thank them for the service of the country. And we also emphasize the need to have peace, the need to have elections, and that everybody in this country belongs to this country. We belong to Zimbabwe, we belong to Harare, and we must not allow any differences to come between our promise to the residents, our promise to the citizens. We will cooperate with all measures that are needed to keep the elections environment as peaceful as it should be. We also hope that some of our colleagues who are aspiring to be MPs, we wish them well and good luck in the journey, and we thank them for the service that they've given to the city as councillors. And we know coming next year or this year in August, we will have more councillors, as there will be a quota system for female councillors, and our complement of councillors will go up to 65, if my mathematics has not betrayed me. So we will welcome a more female representation in the council chambers. It's a big city. If you notice the number of people that a councillor is representing in Harare, it's bigger than constituencies in other provinces. On average, a councillor represents 22,000 voters, and it's very difficult to service those voters or using one councillor. So I want to thank you for the patience in listening to us and the patience. We believe that we've put up a solid base for us to be able to take off. We hope that our counterpart, the Minister of Finance, will be able to tame this tiger that is now happening, because inflation and currency turmoil will undo most of the work that we have done. We hope that since he has won his primaries, he will be able to refocus back to the heavy work of making that the finances work. But I thank you for being with us in this journey on behalf of our councillors. I know that during the course of our tenure, we lost 2 councillors. Is it? Yeah, we lost 2 councillors. They were replaced in by-elections, and a number of staff also have left us. The statistics were not included in our speech, but we says they may their souls rest in peace, and we hope we are doing them proud as we continue with the work they left off. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, for updating us on the key developments in the city. When I introduced members from the city of Harare, I forgot our junior council. The city of Harare has a junior council which is under the Chamber Secretary's department, so I deliberately left out the acting Chamber Secretary, Mr. W.C. Chiwawa, because I wanted to introduce him last, so that you go back remembering him. So Mr. W.C. Chiwawa is our acting Chamber Secretary, and I'll also introduce our junior mayor, His Worship, Councillor Piri. Councillor Piri, may you please stand up so that our residents and stakeholders can appreciate you. Thank you very much, Your Worship. We also have our junior town clerk, Councillor Pazorora. Councillor, can you stand up so that our residents and stakeholders can appreciate you? Thank you very much for gracing this occasion, and all our stakeholders who joined in later when the introductions were done. We appreciate you and thank you very much for coming. I will now hand over to Councillor Gotora. Councillor H. Gotora is the chairman of the Information and Publicity Committee. I introduced him earlier. He's going to give us the vote of thanks. And then after him, Jeff will then lead in the photo session. We said some it's their first time to come to Townhouse, so I think it will be good if we have a photo session with the mayor. So the preparations are on course. So allow me to hand over to Councillor Gotora to give us the vote of thanks. I'll allow Councillor Gotora to come, vachita vote of thanks near you, so that you get anointing. Mufundis from AFM. So it's important that vadzoke very close to the people. Thank you very much. Over to you, Councillor.
Thank you. The Director of Ceremonies, Ms. Mavolwane, His Worship, the Mayor of the City of Harare, Councillor Jacob Mafume, mayors and chairpersons from surrounding local authorities, town clerks from our sister local authorities, captains of industry and commerce, representatives from banks and other financial institutions, representatives from the insurance sector in Harare, residents association representatives, representatives of corporates operating in Harare, esteemed stakeholders, development partners, chairpersons of council committees, councillors here present, seat of Harare acting town clerk, engineer Karidza, seat of Harare heads of department and other senior officials, residents of Harare, members of media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to propose a vote of thanks at this important occasion, the end of first quarter report presentation by His Worship, the Mayor of the City of Harare. His Worship, the Mayor, has clearly articulated the progress made to date, the challenges and the way forward. His message was very clear on the need to improve service delivery and restore the dignity of the residents of Harare. The key messages can be summarized in the following themes, which our executive must embrace and implement strategies to achieve these. Number one, improve service delivery, fight against corruption, prioritize the needs of the residents, which is the core business of council. And also from where we come from, we believe in what we call citizenocracy, where we put citizens first. Improve infrastructure development, improve fiscal stewardship, teamwork, ethnic, and be customer responsive, and decentralized service delivery. As councillors of the City of Harare, we live in the same communities and face similar service delivery challenges with the residents of the City of Harare. This gives us a distinct advantage in understanding the real challenges facing communities across the city. As a result, we are well placed to resolve the service delivery challenges in our great city. That understanding is reflected in the programs and priorities that have been laid out by our Mayor, His Worship, Councillor Jacob Mafume. That same understanding is also why we have chosen the theme of this administration, Back to Basics for Sustainable Service Delivery. The truth is all of us here have a part to play in making Harare a better city. Gone are the days where we spend much of the time blaming council. We must know that as residents, as citizens of Harare, we have a part to play in making our city a better city. As I conclude, allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to express our sincere gratitude to all our guests for taking time to join us here for this important occasion. You are a very important party for this city, and your being here is much appreciated. I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to the monitoring and evaluation team for the perfect logistic support and guidance extended to all of us at this occasion. Can we put our hands together through the M&E team for making this event a success? Ms. Mavolani, the head of M&E, we thank you so much for the sterling work that you did. To the organizing team and all who were behind the scene, we appreciate you. May God bless you all. I thank you.
Thank you very much. We've come to the end of our program, and our pastor has blessed us, so we remain blessed. For the photo session, I think Mercy will take over. Mercy and Jeff. Jeff is outside. We will serve refreshments later on. But we encourage people not to eat too much. We need to watch our weight so that no rambatiri fit and strong. So, so Messi, you lead us for the photo session. We'll allow the mayor and his entourage to leave first, and then we'll give directions as to who is going first. Thank you. And the junior mayor and the junior town clerk. As I'm signing off, my name is DS Mavolwane. It was a pleasure hosting you. We'll see you again when we do the end of second term review. I thank you. Music.